Get ready. Checkpoint. Congratulations.
Welcome to the family, son. I'm Cassette Blue.
And I'm Sun versus the Moon.
This is Budsday today. How's it going?
Great. Fantastic. We had an IRL Budsday hangout.
Yeah.
Hot
For the
dog.
first time in over a year.
It was amazing.
Got to play some VR, Resident Evil 7.
Yes.
I missed that. Oh, God, VR. We've talked about it before, but VR is just so good. Feels incredible.
Go ahead, please. Please. We didn't even consider speaking about this. We usually plan out our entire outline. I totally had spaced on this. So I booted in knowing, just go for it. Tell us about your experience.
We played Resident Evil 7 as my second time playing in VR because I only played the intro like 3 years ago at your place and then played on PC just like, in 2D. Well, not 2D, but you know what I mean? Not VR. But then finally got to play it in VR again to do a little bit more of the beginning of the game, do daughters, and it's just being in those virtualized spaces just feels incredible because I've described it before as like you're being among a bunch of cardboard cutouts, but it feels like you're among those cardboard cutouts like in real life. And I talked about it a little bit on the stream that we did. I mentioned it before. Lighting is everything for maintaining realism, and the way that they have the specular highlights and like gloss and like sickliness on a lot of the materials in that game visually, it really just lends that realistic feel, that dimension, dynamic range in your vision is it's just so good. Thank you for letting me experience that again.
Oh, totally. Sense of scale for me is the biggest one.
Hands look weird though. Like hands in your vision, they don't seem right.
Did you feel that way even when it's playing as Ethan?
I want to say yes, but definitely Zoe.
So I may have mentioned this before on the podcast. I know I've definitely talked about it on stream, so forgive me if you've heard this before. I'll try to keep it brief, but it's no mystery how much I love the Resident Evil series and how bad 6 is, and I like 5 is a co-op game. It's fun, but it's inherent. I've said this before. It's inherently not scary when you got a buddy on anything. It just even co-op or anything. There's one part of 5 when you are one person has to have the lantern or the high beam for blasting the light in the cave, and it's legitimately spooky right at that moment. That is the only time in that entire game that it's kind of spooky, and you have a co-op, and they did it well. Let's go with the buddy. You and I have done it together, and it's quite fun. I wish that section was longer. I wish there was more of that. Like they straight up make it black. You cannot see anything. And then 6 is just a travesty. And then 7 was such a return to form. I love 7 so much. Like the Bakers are phenomenal. I love them so much. And then Cassette played through the Daughters DLC. If you've never played through,
expands your feel of those characters through that.
Holy cow. We'll get into the actual DLC in a sec, but just with VR, I knew when RE7 had come out, it was also in VR, and I got it for the PlayStation 4 at the time. I had been considering PSVR. This is back in 2018, I think, and I'd been considering it, but it was still an affordable solution, compared to like Oculus or the HTC Vive or anything like that. We didn't have the Valve Index at that time, but Valve was still kind of going for the higher market, and the PSVR seemed like a pretty decent entry point. And quite frankly, a lot of VR developed games are not well funded. They're not a big thing. It's kind of a safe bet going with the Sony property because they have, at the very least, you're going to get some first party titles on there. And I got to say, Astrobot Rescue Mission is so good. It is one of my, I said it before, it's like when you first play Mario 64. Well, it's like when you first play VR. If you first play that game, it's just, VR is so good. So I played through the intro of RE7. You play as Clancy, and you're a cameraman, and you are in a film, or you're shooting a show. You have a producer who's a bit of a douche, and he kind of just like is dictating what's happening. And you play this initial spot, and it is legitimately spooky. You walk in and you see the Baker Mansion. And you're like, okay, this is cool. And then you see the muck on the table. You're like, oh, cool, because this is all built around. There was a demo called Kitchen, and that was like the original VR Capcom demo. And if you go back and watch the initial E3 reveal of RE7, it flashes and says before Kitchen. So this is like this is kind of like, this was their project for a while. They had been leading up to, kind of bringing the series kind of back into a more spooky feel, less, straight up action. It's funny. Village is 100% action, but has some great vibes. Anyway. So when we're playing as Clancy, you go in, and the very intro is the demise of this crew, and I knew right then I needed the VR, and I called every Best Buy in the area. One of them had it in a city about 40 minutes away. I drove there and back that same day and brought it home and played it, and oh boy, I fortunately do not suffer from any sort of like VR sickness or seasickness of that nature. Every now and then I've had like an issue, but not really. I can go on rides. I can, I don't really suffer from that at all. Like I'm the person like on the octopus, woo, let's get it spinning. When you're spinning around the teacups, I love spinning them teacups. Yeah, man. So I don't really suffer from VR sickness or anything. Thankfully. Anyway, if you ever play VR, even if you get a teeny tiny little headache, stop right then, because that is a migraine in the making. If you have any sort of weirdness, just take that thing off. It is not worth it. You can, from what I understand, and it's actually, I get it initially, like when I put on the headset last night, even with the lousy tracking of the PSVR, you got to have it dark because it uses the camera and everything. It's, it kind of gets a little weird, and you get a little that like floaty feeling, like not when you're walking, it's like not perfect. I imagine new VR is probably amazing. I've only experienced the very first Oculus and PSVR. No, that's not true.
And
no, and my
Pacific Science Center, those giant VR headsets.
Oh yeah. My buddy actually has the Quest 1 or 2. And now I know I'm going to get the Quest 2 for RE4. Now I already know. I might as well just get it now, so I could dick around with it. Be kind of fun.
Please do. Oh, that would be so cool.
Because you can actually hook it up to an actual computer with the link cable. Because it's it's a mobile processor. It's not the greatest thing. It's actually kind of lousy. It's like having a mobile phone. Because it's a standalone unit, which is cool, and a lot of VR stuff you can handle. But if you really want to make it performant, you need to hook it up to a PC and use it like a HMD. The thing is, you need to buy like the initial link cable, so then it's even more, but whatever. Anyway, you can also, if it's on the PC, I can have like a virtual desktop in there. I could even be streaming and have chat up in there and everything like that, right? So
that's right. Yeah, I've seen people use that.
Yeah. So who knows? I might just pick that up and have some fun, because VR, oh my gosh, that was such a tangent, but VR, so I got it. I got the PSVR. And I played my entire playthrough multiple times. There was times when it'd be like light outside. I'd put that headset on and I'd take it off, and it was like dark outside. I was like, whoa. I loved it so much, especially RE7 in VR is so wild. I was so happy my first playthrough was in VR, because you look around the corner, things you just cannot do. It fundamentally changes the way you play the game. You feel like you're in so I remember I went and got the VR, and I come down at the beginning when you open up the gate, and you walk around, you see Jack kind of walking, and you drop down, you grab Mia's license, and then you look up and you see the Baker Mansion. That part, still, boy, oh boy, when you first play RE7 in VR, and you're like, whoa, baby. And when you're in there at the beginning and Mia's crawling up the stairs, oh my gosh, it's so good. Love it.
It's really cool in the nighttime when you're looking through the foggy bayou. I really like that.
So, sorry, I've been rambling on about it.
No, that's about it. Yeah.
Tell us about your VR experience again. Because when I booted it up, I always forget how awesome it is. I plugged it back in. Cassette was streaming the night before, and I plugged it back in so I could, make sure it was working for when he came over.
Yeah.
And I played through the Daughters DLC once again because I'd played through it when it first came out, but I hadn't played through it in a while. And I forgot how good it was. I was just amazed. Like, you sitting at the bottom, look up through like you mentioned it too. You look up through the staircase and you see the distance. Anyway, sorry, take it away.
No, it's just you don't really get the same sense of scale and distance with a non-VR game, and so when you have that added dimension in there, it just changes the way that you interact with that world. And being able to like poke your head through a wall to look outside the window was kind of funny.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you can do a lot more like breaking the actual geometry of the world. There are certain things where it actually blacks out your vision. But a lot of the other times, like, you don't have the same clipping barriers as you would just like moving your character. I know it's for my benefit, but I don't like the darkening that happens in my peripheral vision. I want to be able, like, I don't know if it will make me sick, but I want to see more of the world wrapping around me instead of like moving and I get tunnel vision. But I know that's to prevent people from getting queasy.
I'm fairly certain you can actually reduce that as well in the settings, but that is 100% to avoid people getting queasy.
In the system settings?
No, in
Or
the actual
game settings?
PSVR RE7 settings.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's like when they don't let you, they don't move your body independently. That's why there's no cutscenes where you move, because that's how you instantly make people ill. Is when the body is moving and you're not doing it. You're not doing any control. You're just like, whoa, when you just have your feet moving. So if you're like transitioning from standing to low, that's why it goes black and then you appear down below, because then you're in that model.
There are a couple of times where it does actually move independently of you that they don't black out, and it seemed fine for the most part.
Maybe for you you handle it very well. There are many people that just get sickness from playing first-person shooters, period, let alone any sort of VR. Like we have a few friends that cannot do it, and it's just it's a bummer.
The head aiming is great, though. I do miss that.
You aim with your face? Yeah.
Yeah. It actually helped my aim a lot better. I got a lot of crits on doing that playthrough, but it was also on standard, so whatever. But yeah, I need to get a unit for myself sometime so I can actually play it myself.
Well, get PSVR 2 with those new fancy controllers.
Need to get that PS5, but yeah.
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 On the actual Daughters DLC itself, it is so good. It gives you more insight into the Bakers. It's what's leading up to the events of RE7. So if you've played RE7 and you're always just kind of afraid of the Bakers, I mean, I love them. I've gushed about them many times, especially Marguerite. Her voice actor is so good. This, though, gives you like a different side of them. It's very sad. It made me like emotionally sad to watch it because they're so kind. And this family just gets, and they're so humble. Like, they're not like, that mansion is like deteriorating, and they get invaded by this biological weapon, and it just takes them over. And it's so sad, man, because they're so nice. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Highly recommend.
Yeah, it was a very good DLC. All the DLC in that game, I would probably, well, not all, because I haven't seen all of them, but it seems like there are a few that are absolutely essential. At least Daughters, Not a Hero, and Zoe. Is that what's called? Yeah.
See, it's like Oculus paid for that RE4 VR conversion.
Right.
So I think it may come out onto other things, but I don't know how long. I don't want to buy an Oculus. You have to have like a Facebook account. It sucks. Like, I don't want to have to deal with all that stuff. So, but they paid for the development. So who knows? It may come out. But RE7 is still exclusive to PlayStation. Like, it is not anywhere else. You can only play it there, unfortunately, which sucks because it does not look good. It's not like performant.
It's pretty heavy screen door.
Yeah, well, and really just low resolution. I just mean the actual game itself. Like, it doesn't really, it's super low res. It's okay for the way the game is designed, but it could be. And actually, I wonder if it would suffer from like when you play Final Fantasy VII, like the original, on like super high resolution. I wonder if it would make it look like, because part of the effect is how kind of grody it looks and how spooky it may look too false or fake. If it's like too pristine.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like when you see old pixel art, and it looks like
Yeah.
really crisp and ugly, and then you see it on an actual CRT and you're like, oh my god, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. I see what you were originally
Yeah,
going for.
you actually, it's funny seeing that comparison because you'll see certain gradients. Like I think it's the title screen for Earthworm Jim, especially. Like if you don't view it on a CRT, it just looks like a dithered, pixelated, like 8-color mess. But then you see it on a CRT, and it's just beautifully, just perfectly smooth gradients.
Yes,
So yeah,
I follow a person on Twitter that links that does those often, and it's very very interesting to see because that's like what I grew up seeing, and it when I go back and I see some emulators and I'm just like, oh, it's so sad. Like they would
Yeah.
look so beautiful. I mean, they still look nice, but that they really shines. Or when they use like the actual inconsistencies or actual errors in the display to make an effect happen, they utilize the flaw to make art. And then when you view it on a or on a regular, flat panel display, it just totally loses the effect because they even, the way that the CRT gun even displays, when they use the flaw to the effect, and it's really quite beautiful to see how the artist adapted to the time of the technology, and it just loses some of that je ne sais quoi, of the original stuff.
how you can do a lot of like color palette swapping in
Yeah.
the middle of the frame being drawn because like the electron gun is already lit up that phosphor on that pixel. It's already that color, so you can actually just swap it for the next phosphor that's going to be lit up. Just you like you said, you just lose all that magic now because it's completely different display technology.
Okay, so one other quick thing. We know there are Switch Pro rumors again. We're aware. I made the decision like initially when they started happening that I don't really care to talk about it until we actually know. I've been listening to different podcasts. I listened to about 4, and it's very interesting, listening and watching them like speculate, and then just like, guys, come on, wait till we get info because often they're very wrong, and I don't want to just sit there and pontificate over something that we don't fully know yet.
Why don't you speculate for us in the comments and all that kind of stuff?
It's like we know it's coming eventually. We know it's probably going to be. It's the reason why Dragon Quest 12, they didn't say what hardware it's going to be on. We know that it's probably why they haven't showed anything on Breath of the Wild 2 or Bayonetta or Metroid Prime 4 or anything like that. I'm sure that's the reason because all of those are on the Switch Pro. Yeah, so we know. I just don't want to we don't want to go into the speculation. Once they show us, if they show us it, soon or whatever, great. But until then, we're just going to keep on rolling. Okay.
Yep.
So also on this, we know we are recording, unfortunately, the day before NVIDIA is going to be announcing officially the 3080 Ti and the 3070 Ti. So we are going to hit we already know this one in particular. We know it's officially not happening yet, but here is the headline currently that we have the latest on. The 3080 Ti is to be available on June 3rd. And the 3070 to be available on June 10th. Now, they should be announced tomorrow when this will be live. This podcast will probably be live on Wednesday, the 2nd. So this announcement will happen on the 1st. So you guys are everybody watching this now, it doesn't matter when you see this, it's already going to have happened in the past. So it's probably not even, we're not going to spend too much time on it because everything we're going to say right now is going to be basically already kind of taken care of. If you want to know the details, check out our previous Budsday podcast. Was it last week or the last episode? We went over all the details. Yes.
We talked about everything that they released from, I think it was MSI, right?
Yes. MSI released all their stats except for the core. The only thing we didn't know at the time was the clock speed of the 3070 Ti. We knew everything else. We know that the 3080 Ti is going to be in between the 3080 and the 3090. We know that it's going to have the same exact same setup as a 3090. It's a cut down 3090 with less RAM, literally just half the RAM. It's essentially everything we wanted out of it. So the RAM is so much more power draw and and cost. That's so now that they're reducing that to half. Would be dope if it was 16, but it'd probably be not really worth it. essentially it's going to be the one to get. We know add-in board partners, AIBs, are currently making the prices elevated. NVIDIA, we know that NVIDIA is upset that they are selling the chips themselves to the manufacturers at a lower rate, and then they're turning around and selling them at like $1,500 MSRP. So that means we know the 3080, if there's going to be a Founders Edition, this is the only chance that we're probably going to get this until January 2022. We know all of this. It's just, the Intel's DG2Z is probably going to be coming out in January 2022. It's going to be about the 3070 in performance. It's supposed to cost about $400 to $500, which you think, oh my God, that sounds amazing. But if it comes out like a full year or, over a year after the 3070 for lower price, that sounds about right, and that's amazing. It's supposed to be have really good rasterization performance, 3D rendering, game performance of a 3070, and then it's supposed to have a really good encoder. So if it competes or is better than NVENC, that could, and it's $400 to $500. We know
that would be a selling point for me, absolutely. As a streamer.
Many people, and if I may go on a quick hype about it, think of the Intel pipeline. They are unmatched. Nobody has a supply pipeline like Intel does, because there is so much more right now to the shortage than just chips, where there is a straight up substrate shortage for chips. The substrate is actually is literally what the base of the entire thing is kind of built upon. You have Cassette and I had talked about this a long time ago about semiconductor manufacturing, but I just got on a YouTube thing and was looking up copper plating and like how they do the copper plating. The what's it called? Electroless copper plating. It's amazing, because essentially you etch in order to get down between the substrate. You need to etch down, drill or laser or through it. To then they coat the two, they coat it in copper as well. And there are, you can either have that goes all the way through inside I forget what they're called. It's like internal, when it's like encased. I'm going on a huge tangent now, but essentially
we watched a lot of that stuff on my stream like half a year ago. We went over like a bunch of videos showing that whole process. It's fucking beautiful.
It's amazing
just engineering.
They make the copper, interconnects because they have to fuse essentially the top and bottom, but it's electroless, so it's a chemical reaction. They're literally fusing the copper together chemically. It's amazing. There's a substrate shortage right now. The base materials are even at a shortage right now. So this is why I love this podcast, because it's just so fun to talk about this stuff. Intel has a way better supply pipeline than anybody else. They've been around forever. From what I understand, the DG2 is being done at TSMC, so they won't even be manufacturing that, but they'll have the supply chain for everything else. And if they can give a compelling product at a compelling price at a compelling performance, welcome. This is the low hash rate versions of the video cards. These are now popping into the wild. The 3090 will still remain a non-inhibited card. Now,
imagine they're not going to be updating the 3090 at all, ever, right?
Correct. This is only the 3080, 3070, and 3060 Ti. But this is the new version. So if you start seeing the LHR version, low hash rate, LHR version, that means it will be unfavorable to miners because it will perform worse. There are it basically disables CUDA essentially, and there are workarounds that I've seen people talk about, but I'm fairly ignorant on it, so I don't even want to try to talk about it yet. I'd have to educate myself on it. Essentially, we'll see. Well, Brian Del Rizzo, the guy that infamously called out Hardware Unboxed and removed them from their partner program because they hated on they didn't hate, they just called out the truth on their ray tracing baloney. He put out a statement saying that it was not just a driver anymore. It is now a secure handshake between the hardware. We'll see. The last time they did this, it was they released their own driver breaking it. So, we'll see.
I could have sworn they said it was a secure handshake.
They did
for the previous iteration too.
That's why I'm saying
wasn't.
We'll see. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll find out when it happens. This is a quick note on the patent of super resolution. This person just says TLDR, it's magic. I don't really care to get into the patent itself. I'm not super. I don't understand. I haven't actually investigated. I haven't checked. I just want to talk on super resolution real quick. I just want to make a quick little note on it. This is exciting, right? We haven't seen this. If you don't know what the Fidelity FX super resolution FSR, AMD FSR, it is their answer to NVIDIA's DLSS. Now, if you remember, DLSS 1.0 was fairly bad. It did not perform well, but DLSS 2.0 is pretty awesome from the games that support it. Well, from what I've been understanding, FSR, AMD's version of this, is much easier to implement, and it has adequate performance. It probably won't be as good, but that, it's geared for the console, so that makes sense. I'm very excited to see how this pans out, though, because this is kind of one of the last big behemoths that AMD needs to compete with NVIDIA in the space here. There is no DLSS alternate or answer in their minds or in their option right now, so you're kind of just stuck with the performance that you get, and if you try to do any ray tracing, it's kind of a hammer on it. But with games like RE8 and the new they did a Metro release, Metro Exodus re-release, where they're releasing games that take into account AMD's ray tracing capabilities. They're much more performant and in line with NVIDIA. Nice.
That's really good to hear, actually.
Not as good, though. The 6900 is equivalent to the 3080 performance. The 3090 still takes the cake, no problem, which is cool, but the 3080 MSRP should be, it's a couple $100 cheaper, but it's not in practice, but when a release it's cheaper. So it is the highest end AMD card competes with the second highest NVIDIA card, but I don't know, it's getting better, we'll see. But
I would say as long as it's like higher performing than a Turing card, then you're already kind of in a positive there, right?
Yes, but the price performance is not line up. The 6900 is not equivalent of the 3080 in price.
I guess you meant, yeah.
But it is in performance. But again, this not taking into account, FSR. So once FSR is implemented, we could see a massive improvement in AMD's version of ray tracing. So that's pretty cool. The biggest thing, though, is they still have really lousy encoding. They just can't match NVENC. I still have a hard time recommending an AMD card to a friend that would be any sort of content creator. Because if you're a content creator, get an NVIDIA card, period. It's just superior. NVENC is amazing. So if Intel actually has a really good alternative, boy, that could be awesome. So next little bit here. This is pretty neat. I think this is awesome, actually.
Yeah. All right, so USB-C 2.1 specification has been released. Supposedly, this is going to be solving a lot of problems with power connectors for laptops being a huge array of differing connectors, and even within the same connectors, still differing specifications. So you would have a whole lot of issues with different connector types still not being compatible with your specific laptop because of whatever reason. But now they have improved the spec so that instead of just having 20 volts of power being able to go through a USB-C cable, you can have 48 volts, and at 5 amps that equates to about 240 watts of power.
Huge.
Which for a laptop is pretty significant.
You could power a 4K display with that.
One of the major issues with having this much power go through this cable and the connector specifically is that when you remove the connector, it has a chance to arc. And even at 48 volts, that's a lot of damaging.
Describe what arcing is.
Scroll down.
Describe what arcing is.
Scroll down, because they show the damage.
Oh.
Yeah, I actually don't know if I would be able to describe arcing.
It's just
very well.
It's just a visible
discharge,
non-contained electrical discharge. Yes, correct.
Yeah. And so that can cause damage to these materials, which you don't want your laptop's power connector to be damaged, and so it can't take the same amount of current draw.
If you ever plugged something in, you kind of see that, not the static electricity spark, but if you're two electrical things and you've seen the little electricity kind of, that's like an arcing. Or if you've seen a big power transformer during a weather storm, that's yeah.
it's bad.
Yes.
But yeah, they have to have more stringent specifications for making sure that the materials and everything else have a much lower chance of arcing when you're disconnecting. Apparently, not an issue at all for connecting the plug
Yes, because there's no
for
active
whatever
connection.
reason.
Oh, because it hasn't established the power light yet.
Right, it has to handshake it first and then
Correct.
get it going. Yeah. Hopefully, this means that all of the charger barrel connections that we're used to for a lot of laptops can just go away now, and now we have USB-C. It's going to be a new age.
Okay, we're not going to spend too much time on this. This is just kind of an interesting note. Satya Nadella gave we knew this was coming. This is like this Windows 10 version 2 kind of thing. I think they're going to probably get rid, they're calling it Sun Valley. I think they're going to get rid of the 10 moniker altogether. They should just call it Windows and just keep updating Windows. They keep iterating things. That they have the package. They have Windows Get now, which is pretty sick for a package delivery system. In my mind, as long as they get rid of like the Metro look, like I still hate the way this looks. Not really a fan of. I've ever really enjoyed the way that Windows 10 looks. The original one, that modern UI was so bad.
That was a pain to work with.
So they do say it's going to be pretty big revamp though. So pretty interesting. I'm excited to see what they're going to have, but quite frankly, I'm not as interested as long as it doesn't break my workflow and as long as it continues to work. I use a Mac at work full time, so I just kind of go back and forth between the OSs. It wouldn't, it's neat to see how things go. They did mention that they're gonna have like, didn't they say like rounded edges? That's gonna be
rounded corners. Yeah.
yeah. So it's funny.
Not into it, but that's okay. I actually really like the way that not Metro specifically, but or Modern. I guess Modern is what it's called now. Everything else, I don't really care about the start menu, but everything else about the UI I find wonderful because it's just clean and it's out of the way. There's a lot of functionality in Windows that is in the way all the time.
I can't
but the UI
stand this. I don't like how I don't
arrow or whatever.
No, just the way I don't like the way they obfuscate everything here. All the change, all the UI
right.
change of the 10 are bad. Like just take us back to the way. Even now, when you go, like a system properties or whatever, you have to go through so many different hoops to get just the old setup. Just give me back to the old way that I just know how to get there. Because they still at the end of the day still do those calls back to that. So maybe this will be one. This is going to be the whole unification of all of that. Because at the end of the day, it still comes back to the control panel stuff. Anyway, quick tangent there. back on track. PlayStation Plus games. This is kind of. I wanted to play Squadrons. You played this, right? I actually might. If I don't gotta buy it, I might play it. I don't know Operation.
Try it out. Yeah.
I don't know Operation Tango, but VF5. I kind of want to play it. It sucks that it doesn't have GGPO. Like rollback netcode. It's got delay-based netcode, or just not even GGPO. Just rollback netcode. Period. It has delay-based netcodes. But from what I understand, people said the original VF5 or the Xbox 360 release, I forget what it was called, VF5 something or other, final something. It had pretty decent online, but I think people's standards have changed big time, so I'm not sure. It'd be fun to play. Give it a try. I like Virtua Fighter, the original. I've said it before. Go into that arcade, play Virtua Fighter, play Daytona. I can't help myself every time. Man, they're fun. So if you want it, we can probably do Budsday. Check it out. This is great.
I am super into that.
Yeah, dope.
I would say, just quick mention on Squadrons. If you haven't played Ace Combat before and you haven't done the expert controls for it, you're going to have a fine time. If you played Ace Combat and you love the way the expert controls work on that, you're going to have a terrible time because it definitely flies completely different. So just as a word of warning. But it's neat. It is neat.
You're saying
give it a try. It's going to be for free.
You're saying this aggressively.
Yeah, sorry.
You're like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I've got opinions, but that's okay.
Tell us how you really feel.
What I said.
Okay, so Randy Pitchford here. Good news or bad news first? Good news, an update for Borderlands 3 has been prepared that releases full crossplay across all platforms.
Nice.
Bad news. For certification, we have been required by publisher to remove the crossplay support for PlayStation consoles. Because pay me. So stupid.
Yeah.
Sony, why? Jim Ryan, why? Why are you doing this? Stop doing this. This is just stop. Just stop. I got nothing else to say. Just stop. Stop.
Yeah. I get you want your money, but you're going to get your money. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, stop. Let crossplay happen, you stupids. Okay. Here we go. This is pretty cool. There was a Dragon
Mm-hmm.
Quest event that was quite cute, quite enjoyable actually. If you haven't watched it, go ahead, check it out. We'll link it. The two real big takeaways from this were Dragon Quest 12 finally being announced. That's pretty cool. And Yuji Horii said that it will be a Dragon Quest for adults. And what was the line that they said? It was, what is the purpose of life? They said that we'll have decisions, so that's kind of cool. That's not really a JRPG kind of thing. It's a pretty set story usually.
Yeah, he was pretty vague about like what specifically is going, because the subtitle for the game is like Flames of Fate or something like that.
Correct.
So
It's right here on screen.
Oh, it is. Thank you. Yeah.
No worries.
I was looking at the logo and I was like, it's not on the logo. Okay, that's okay.
Maybe it's below. No, it's not.
So it'll be interesting to see like if there is a deeper system for fighting against fate as part of a story. I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. The other bit was they're remaking Dragon Quest 3 in Unreal Engine, which is pretty cool. They're using the same technique that was used in Octopath to give it that HD, they call it HD 2D kind of effect. Essentially, it's not actually 2D. It's all 3D assets in Unreal Engine. Cassette, you made comment that they don't have the filters and effects on
Instagram
Octopath.
filters.
I think they're kind of cool on Octopath. I love the way Octopath looks, but I understand how it could feel a little gaudy.
It's more just the color gets destroyed a lot with those types of filters, and so I just wish they would tone it down a little bit so it just retains some more of the dynamic range and like color richness. But again, it's a very subjective thing. I think this looks amazing.
This looks beautiful, but the walking animations are terrible. These people have no knees. If you watch this in video, they truly have no knees when they walk. So I don't know. It's kind of a bummer, but we'll see. And it still does the thing where it's the one thing that I've never liked about the Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior series, where you don't get to see your characters. I love my characters, man. And they always go, even in the battle here, you see this right here, but then as soon as it goes to attack, it throws this back into the first person mode. And I mean, I know you can get used to it, but I love that. That was so great about Dragon Quest 12. Oh, real quick. Sorry, I know you're going to say something.
Exactly.
Yeah. All I was going to say
that was it.
Okay, Dragon Quest 12, go for it.
Yeah, so they called it Command Battle, I think specifically was the terminology that they used.
The current one is.
They're actually moving away from Command Battle, so it might be more of a real-time battle system, which I think you said specifically was probably inspired by Final Fantasy VII Remake and everything
100%.
around that. So
100%.
I don't necessarily enjoy the idea that like real time is the modern way to play an RPG, but it'll be an interesting like shakeup for the series. So cool, let's see it. Just like, you know, Yakuza's going from real-time combat to turn-based for itself. So I like that there's a lot of transitions going on for these long-term series.
I totally, we didn't even mention it back on it's back on the Virtua Fighter 5 thing. They basically just made a Yakuza fighting game. That's what it is. It's the Dragon engine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Yakuza team.
Oh, sweet.
The Yakuza team took Virtua Fighter 5, remade it completely in the Dragon engine, and that's what we're getting. It's pretty sick. It's like not like a small task that they had done. But I think I think it's a precursor. We're gonna get an actual Yakuza fighting game. There's no reason why we should not have a Yakuza fighting game. Those characters are fucking amazing. Like, give us
they also have Yakuza side games that happen in like different universes. So, you know, it makes sense that they would have other types of games just like outside of the main storyline. So
yeah, but I just want like specifically like a Virtua Fighter style Yakuza game. That'd be awesome with those characters.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I would be a Majima main for sure.
Anyway, well, how do we even get on that topic? Oh yeah, Final Fantasy
battle systems.
Battle system, yeah. I think it's pretty. Yeah. I'm excited. Oh, what I was gonna say was, if you've played Dragon Quest 11, you can actually like move around the battlefield, but it does fuck all. Like, it's so dumb. You're like, oh, I can't actually dodge anything. No,
very slow too, right?
No, you can move pretty fast. It just has literal no effect. It's just purely for that. So I'm sure they're going to, you know, it will probably won't be as well. We don't know. I don't want to speculate. They just said expect changes. It was really funny. They had like a person with the whistleblower, you know, like a VIP that said beep 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 when he would start talking more. So we don't actually know too much about what's coming up, but that's kind of where we're at.
that visual presentation of battle is kind of based off old dungeon crawlers, right?
Yes, correct.
Supposedly.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So, okay. Yeah, I wanna try doing some dungeon crawlers sometime. Anyway,
Boy, oh
just
boy, there's
side thought.
there's one that came out in like 2016, and the name escapes me. Aro would know. He
Really?
was playing through it. Hold on.
Okay.
Grimrock, Legend of Grimrock. That's it. Legend of
Oh,
Grimrock.
okay.
Yeah. Check that one out. That's the one that Aro was
Writing it
playing.
down. Legend of Grim Rock.
Maybe Grimlock. No, Grimlock is the Transformer. Grimlock, right?
Grimlock.
Yeah. All right, back on track.
Transformers.
More than meets the eye.
I still love watching the
Robots
music for
in
that
the
show is so
sky.
good. It's that like late 70s, early 80s, like weird jazz rock. I love it too much. Anyway, sorry.
It's amazing.
Memories and nostalgia flooding in.
No, dude, the Transformers movie is such a good soundtrack. And then of course
It
you
is.
got the parody on regular show. You got the well, when they do the
Vince
parody.
DiCola is incredible. Please listen to the Transformers the movie soundtrack. Just the not even like the Stan Bush stuff is great, but just the score for the film itself is Unicron's theme is incredible.
Unicron's amazing.
That intro changed Transformers.
Yeah.
It's a terrible movie, but it's an amazing movie.
Well, they have to make new toys. Toys, sell toys, sell toys. Anyway,
Exactly.
back on track
commercial.
again. Yeah.
Yes.
All 80s toys, and even still today. Okay, so Jeff Keighley's finally saying his Summer Game Fest. It's not games. Summer Game Fest returns live. I was listening to a podcast and someone got a correction that were saying games, and someone wrote in and said, it's actually game. Okay, so Summer Game Fest returns live June 10th.
Are they going to have any Game Boy Advance games? Being showcased? Sorry.
Advanced, yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm in. Next up, without taking too much ado, I'm super excited for this. Oh, yes. Cassette and I were talking earlier. Cassette and I were talking earlier. I don't think there's a single Bethesda property I don't like. I bitch a lot about Todd Howard and his dumb games, but I freaking love Elder Scrolls games. I was gonna look. I forgot to do this when we were looking earlier. What was my? Let me. In real time here.
And while he's looking, I still have never played an Elder Scrolls game ever.
That's crazy. You definitely need to. Skyrim, how many hours? 117 hours. Nice. Yeah, definitely got my money's worth. And I know
have you played on any other platform?
Nah, I only played it on this.
Okay.
When it came out, so Skyrim, they don't have good combat, right? You play Magic. Oh, I did play it in VR. Yeah. PSVR was really fun. Yeah, that was actually kind of wild. I might want to jump back into that. Yo, I kind of want to get that new VR headset now just to play more VR stuff. Oh my gosh, like I want to play Beat Saber on PC. I've never played that with your own music and stuff. Bro, Beat Saber's so fun.
That would be pretty cool.
I should have had you play that last night. Dang. We don't really have the space for it in here. Anyway, whatever. I love Bethesda properties. They're all super fun. Cassette, you've never played an Elder Scrolls game. Wow. Okay. So Morrowind.
Should I start with like Oblivion? Oh, I always what was the one that I always wanted to play?
Morrowind is very good, but it's very hard to play these days unless you're okay with like kind of, because there's still the dice rolls that happen in the background, even though you're attacking in real time. So it's kind of frustrating to play sometimes if you don't know what's happening.
They kind of have that a little bit in Divinity 2 though, don't they? A little bit?
No.
In terms of like missing and hitting.
Oh, well, for sure. But this is like there's no pausing. You're just like attacking in real time, but it's dice rolls that are happening.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay,
it's like kind of like an MMO, you're just like auto attacking type thing. But it's
Um,
amazing. The story's super good. I actually don't, I remember the big arc points, but there's so much that I don't remember. I don't know if it'd be probably a good stream game, actually. Probably would be.
I'd be into it, yeah.
Oblivion is decent. It was the first game that I played on 360, I think. Yeah, I had it was pretty cool when it first came out because it was an exclusive to the 360. And
Gotcha.
yeah, it was awesome. It's weird. It's it's kind of rudimentary though when you play those games, the way they have their conversation system. It's like all those Elder Scrolls or all the Fallout style interactions. Hello, Cassette. When it sticks the camera.
I
zooms
hate
right
it
here.
so much.
That's literally every single Bethesda interaction.
The telephoto conversation, like I'm talking to them from like 1,000 feet away, but it's just like the foreshortening is just complete. It's terrible.
And then
I don't
when
like
they
that.
walk away, or just the Mass Effect one always cracks me up too. BioWare walk out of the frame. It's so good. Every time, blah 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 blah.
Oh, I need to
And-
replay Mass Effect.
Oof, it's good. Oh, it's
It
good.
is.
I am the vanguard of your destruction. Anyway, don't I could pontificate about Sovereign for hours. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Let's go Bethesda. Let's see what you got. Now they got that
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft money. I'm excited, but they already said back to the Skyrim thing. They already said the new Elder Scrolls is going to be using the Game Bro engine still. So, well, creation engine.
Hopefully they'll update it. Probably
Blah,
not.
blah, blah. Whatever. So exciting. I'm excited to see what's going to be coming up. All right, this is awesome. More of this, Tony. Yes, you're making a lot of dumb decisions, but more of this, please. While you're at it, go ahead and release that collection as well. Go ahead and release that
Yeah.
Uncharted 1 through 3 collection.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and Bloodborne 2, please.
Mm-hmm.
For our audio listeners, I apologize. This is Uncharted 4 is coming to PC. Yes, please, more of this. Please, please, please. Moving on, Unreal Engine 5. So this is pretty awesome. Cassette, why don't you go ahead and tell us about Unreal Engine 5?
Unreal Engine 5 is looking to be pretty incredible, both for gamers and for game developers. They're doing a lot behind the scenes with their tools to make the workflow process so much better for designers. They have a few new systems like World Partition, which allows developers to load up separate parts of the map individually so that you don't have to work on the whole file at once.
Cool.
They're going to have data layers, which you and I looked at, where you can actually, it's almost like Photoshop, but video game levels, where you can have different sections that have differing sets of geometry and logic in those areas that can be turned on and off depending on game states. They show that in the tech demo where Echo touches a little portal and it transforms the area and loads pretty fast too. One file per actor. Basically every single piece that you put in a level is its own file. That is a lot of resources on the back end, but also at the same time that means that you can do individual updating, and even outside of this, you can work on different aspects of the level separately without having to load different conflicting instances of those files. So the collaboration workflow should speed up and simplify tremendously for a lot of developers. So I'm really looking forward to that for them. A lot of new animation tools, basically just for setting more conditional aspects to different parts of an animation for a character or an object. But the really cool thing, besides Lumen, we already know about ray tracing for this engine. Nanite, which if you don't know what level of detail is in video game visuals, depending on the distance of an object, you will have differing levels of detail for it. So something that's far away, if it's not a what do they call it, poster board?
Primary. In the distance, yes.
Yeah. Basically, if it's just something for window dressing way off in the distance, it's going to be as low detail as possible because you're not going to be seeing it up close, and you don't want to waste resources on something that far away. Normally, you would have to manually create multiple levels of this detail, and so it would take up a lot of resources just to have all those different versions, and then setting up distance thresholds and everything like that,
and just making all
and
those
of course
assets.
the pop in, making all the assets, but also like visually playing the game, seeing the pop in of different levels of detail can be very striking. Now with Nanite, you can just make a master, as they call film quality version of an asset, assign it as a nanite object. It will actually process it in the background in the tools, and then when it loads up in the game, it will automatically determine level of detail. It basically just simplifies the geometry as it goes out.
Awesome.
The seamless nature of it should mean that we don't need to worry about popping anymore. So it's just going to be a visual feast, a visual treat for gamers. My question to you that I wanted to bring back around, especially with the new cards that are supposed to be coming out from Intel, I'm wondering how their ray tracing performance is supposed to be, if at all, when we're going to have engines like UE5 be pushing ray tracing hard for the future. So by the time those cards come out, are we concerned that they're already going to be deprecated because their ray tracing performance might not be up to snuff for Unreal Engine 5 game as compared to AMD or an NVIDIA card?
No clue. We haven't seen any specs. I don't know what
Yeah, they
they're.
haven't made any mention of that, have they?
No. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, everything we know right now is mostly just kind of rumors and some leaks that we've seen. So there is not
Mhm.
a lot of official news yet. So we don't even know officially where it's at, what it's at, nanometer, all that. It's all speculation at this point, officially.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So for my money, again, if it comes out in like January 2022, that is like over a year after a 3070 came out, and if they can introduce it at like $400 to $500, I don't think it would be wild to think it would have fairly decent performance, So
Yeah.
I think it'll have the equivalent of your 3070. That's what it's going to target as far as ray tracing specifically. No clue. I think these new games, though, if they are geared to use these new versions of ray tracing, it's maybe not. It's not just the thing is like FSR. That's an open standard. It's not like an NVIDIA standards DLSS. So these could be more. I don't know.
That's so good.
I don't know the ray tracing implementation if that is what that's based on. We should research that at some point.
Mhm.
But it's just think of AMD FreeSync. That's an open standard as well, right? So
Yeah.
I think you may have, as long as they'll probably be targeting that aspect of it, targeting whatever the AMD capabilities are rather than the NVIDIA capabilities. Pure assumption.
Yeah.
Okay, so a few things to close out the recording. This was kind of wild. So AT&T is breaking up and taking what was it, 43 billion, part of Warner, and Discovery will be joining with the WB aspect of the video game side of Warner. So everything that concerns video games, NetherRealm Studios, Monolith Studios, TT Games,
Mhm.
Rocksteady, Avalanche, all those will be now merging with Discovery and out from under. AT&T seems to be getting out of the space, so they're taking. I don't remember what all was coming with their 43 billion.
It's not even all of the studios. I think it's just most of them, but some of
Okay.
them might be staying with Warner Brothers.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the big ones though that I just kind of rattled
Or
off,
AT&T, I mean.
those are kind of the ones that we care about. I have no
Mhm.
idea. This is kind of exciting, I think. So who knows? This may be like good news. We'll see. Ed Boon hasn't posted any doom and gloom yet, so he seems to be kind of tricking along. They make them
Yeah.
a ton of money, but the thing is, the reason why Mortal Kombat, it looks so good and the single player is so fun and entertaining, and they have a lot more to offer than Street Fighter or that nature on the single player side, is because they have a ton of money. Warner Brothers gives them a ton of money. It is a triple A game that's a fighting game. So as long as they keep getting that money, then there you go. Finally, this was a little bit of a tidbit. You want to hit on this one?
Yeah, Amazon is buying MGM.
Wild.
Which is, yeah, all these large corporations are buying up all the old entertainment these days. It's kind of interesting to see. I was floored by what seemed to me to be a low amount, $8.45 billion. I mean, that's an unbelievable amount of money. But for a company like MGM, which they've been in movies since almost the inception of cinema, but apparently that price is actually factoring in the fact that Amazon is going to be taking on a ton of MGM's debt.
This is just to get people. They have all the money in the world, right? They have infinite money. So as long as someone's willing to
Mhm.
sell to them, they're going to buy it. At the end of the day, this is just to get you on Amazon Prime, so you buy more stuff from them. That's literally all
Yeah,
this is, to get more
honestly,
content on their
yeah.
service. Yeah. So they have literally all the money in the world. Whoever will sell to them, they will buy. So MGM is like, okay. I think 8.4
Yeah.
billion is wild as well. That's almost what Microsoft bought Bethesda for. So yeah, I didn't realize these properties must not be as profitable, as you would think, but who knows? I mean, 8.4 billion is still amazing. What is it? Is it a million, 1,000 million? Is it a billion? So that's still a ton of freaking money. But I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that MGM throughout its history, and a lot of motion picture companies have, especially in the earlier 20th century, come close to bankruptcy. So I'm sure in its history it's taken on way more debt than it can, or that they can actually handle. So this probably saves their asses pretty nicely. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised. that it'd be
Interesting.
that low.
12 Angry Men, Basic Instinct, Creed, Rocky,
Mhm.
Legally Blonde. That's such a funny movie. Moonstruck, Poltergeist, Raging Bull, RoboCop, Silence of the Lambs,
Yeah.
Stargate, Thelma and Louise, Tomb Raider, The Magnificent Seven. Oh, these are all Quentin Tarantino stuff. Pink Panther, Thomas Crown Affair. Is that Quentin Tarantino? Magnificent Seven? Well, no, I'm thinking Hateful
Thomas
Eight.
Crown Affair? No.
No, Hateful Eight is
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. Sorry. What's the Magnificent Seven? I don't think I know that one.
That is an older Western remake, or
Yeah.
Western remake of Seven Samurai.
Got
I'm
it.
pretty sure, right?
Got it. No clue. Pink Panther. Okay. Thomas Crown Affair. James Bond. Fargo. Handmaid's Tale. And Vikings. Got it.
There I go.
Well, on that
Well,
note,
getting more for the bang for your buck on your Amazon Prime account. So there you go.
yeah. I mean, watch Invincible.
Yes, please. It's so good.
Watch Invincible. Speaking of that, Ed Boon. I got to try to find it before we cut out. Ed Boon Omni-Man. Somebody tweeted this to Ed Boon. I saw this on Twitter the other day. Cracked me up. Somebody was like, "Yo, Ed,
Oh yeah.
golden opportunity." Look at this. I mean, it looks great.
I love that.
I'm not showing chat, or I'm not showing the. There you go. It's so good. And then of course his response, he's like, "That could have worked. Thumbs up, yo." So he hasn't been posting doom and gloom about the whole transaction, by the way. So follow Ed Boon. He's hilarious. He's amazing. He's the voice behind "Get Over Here." He's great. If you they're going to be having that new Marvel versus DC, whatever that rumor is. It's going to be wild. I'm not really into NetherRealm games, unfortunately. I don't like actually playing them, but I like everything. I like watching I played through the story of 10, and I watched somebody stream 11, but Injustice, I watched that one too. Did I play Injustice? No, I didn't play Injustice 2.
I've watched Injustice 2, and I actually really, really enjoy that story. I've only seen like a couple of endings. I don't remember how many endings there are to it, but I want to play them one day if I can get them for cheap, just because they look like fun stories to experience, not necessarily the gameplay.
You might
I
actually
feel
like it.
whatever
Who
about the
knows?
gameplay, but-
You never know what you like. It could be you.
Yeah,
it
this
could,
is true.
It could click with you like crazy, right? So who knows?
Mhm.
Anyway, thanks for hanging. We're gonna have we had our first Budsday yesterday live IRL. We're gonna have freaking barbecue tomorrow. I'm excited. We're actually
Yes,
ending early
barbecues
tonight.
with you,
7
man.
p.m. right now.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging. I will see you tomorrow. Everybody else,
Yup.
we'll see you in a few weeks. For the next Budsday today.
Yep. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, son.
Later, man. Cheers.